find the segments, and then we just map it to some common thing.
Non-item and question answering is good enough.
Okay.
Can I have a follow-on question? For the interactive challenge, is it expert novice or just novice?
It's just expert.
Yes.
I would
For the
also say
first
so.
round, for the first year.
I mean, the other thing you have to consider at ACM Multimedia is that
Everybody's an expert. Yes.
well that
No. They're an expert in something. They're not going to be an expert in that.
but you have a challenge session in parallel to 5 other things.
But we can make a challenge session in parallel to a welcome reception in the Guinness storehouse if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We have
You,
control.
you,
We
you
cannot
can
run this in the
advertise that.
storehouse.
Why not? We have control. Completely, 100%.
It
He's
makes,
talking about something else.
but also it makes
Who
things
is running this?
complicated.
It can be a dry event.
A driver.
In the Guinness storehouse.
You're digging yourself deeper.
Klaus, I have flashbacks of Bangkok when the drinks came in,
We call it LRUI, live log retrieval under influence.
Was it Bangkok?
But
The
if we
drinks
want-
came early and...
No.
If
I'm not
we,
sure if
It
it
was,
was.
it was.
Greece.
Huh?
Greece.
No,
Maybe
Bangkok,
yes.
Bangkok.
I don't know.
Bangkok has no drinks for
Yeah,
beers.
but
Yeah.
Bangkok had no drinks in the
Dry.
banquet either. It was a dry conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bangkok?
The drinks
Yeah.
came
So
afterwards.
that's
Yeah.
yes. In the Irish pub.
All right, let's focus on
Okay,
the actual task at hand, please.
But if we want to get the community
Let me
enthused,
just check
we
where
have
you-
to do it as a general ACM multimedia something, right? If it's in a workshop in the Hyatt Parallel Hotel,
Yeah.
it's the biggest room, and there's loads of other stuff happening at the same time, nobody gives a damn, it's just us.
But the question was experts and novices, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
experts is good enough, I think.
Because experts
Okay.
will be there.
So
Yes,
now,
the experts have to
okay,
be there
I'm
with
gonna,
their
I'm gonna
systems.
ask you the question. Put yourself in the middle of the conference next year. Okay, there is a grand challenge session. We'll be involved in a grand challenge session somehow, right? How do we enthuse people to get involved next year if we don't have a session, an actual competition?
So 1 year later, you mean?
I want to. This is
2026.
2026. How do we get people involved?
I think in the past the VPS community was very much interested in all the additional competitions, like also AVR4P, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
But the problem with the
Yeah,
core
I
VVS community is that it's running out of capacity. So now there's
That's
already
true.
3
That's true.
things per year, and people
Yes,
are
that's
kind
the-
of, oh, I don't have the time to do
So
anything.
no, not only time. You have to keep in mind that in Europe, fundings are getting cut everywhere,
So-
including the Netherlands. So travel is
Can
going to
we-
be increasingly
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Travel money, just like, and because of sustainability and so on, some universities are limiting even how many conferences. For you, probably, like Sweden kind of started. Is it Norway? But in
Ireland's
Sweden?
talking about it.
Norway also cut a lot.
We could also do it offline. I mean online,
Good.
virtually.
But that would kill lots of the vibe, you know. So it's like,
Look,
So, Carl, you would suggest the novice session to get new people involved in the community, is that right?
excitement.
Because I would suggest that we have just the expert session, but then we also specifically have like maybe
But
a
the problem is, if
demo
it's
session?
expert sessions, we're all gonna be not taking part in it, right? That's the
Yes.
problem. We
But-
basically cut our community in half.
yeah,
In
but
fact, we're all
somebody
here.
has to build the system anyways, right? And
Yes.
so they should
So
be
how do
there.
we make it
anyways.
easy for people to build systems? What support do we give? The challenge with Tien's guys, for example, is that your guys have to work with one of the existing systems on top of it. How easy, if we want this to be big, how easy do we make it for people to take part? It's already a big data set, right? It's already difficult.
so there are two parts that you are talking. I think
Lots.
you are talking. One part is how to involve new people to kind of join, and the other one is how to make it more appealing at the conference.
It's the same thing to me. If we make it appealing, we attract new people.
Yeah. So that.
One is a subset of the other. Because so how would you get people to do it at the conference? Make the same types of tasks in the offline and in the online thing. So then all the people who built something for the I had all my algorithms run against this. Might as well bring the intermediate results and slap some basic UI on top. So all the hard work is already done.
Right.
The former, I have no idea. Just make it an interesting task.
But I think if you allow novices, then it puts completely different requirements on the user interface.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
that's
even
what
more
makes this
difficult.
This makes things so much harder. I can build something I can operate. I cannot necessarily. If I need to build something anyone can operate.
Yes.
Can I just show the other one? So do we? So this is another one now. Is the really point to win that, or just to have enjoyable experience for everybody? I think probably
But-
second one is more important.
But some people are very
I think many
competitive.
people would like to try those systems. If
What?
people come there, imagine seniors from our community. They are like gonna be, oh, they wanna sit there and try, and students probably, oh, what is this thing? Let me try.
If you
Yes, but-
participate to a grand challenge, people will. A substantial fraction of the people who will participate to a grand challenge in the classical sense will be in it to win it, not to just have a good time.
I agree.
But what if the plan of that is there is the expert session in the actual challenge session, but there is part of the demo session.
Yeah,
where
we
all
could
the
do
systems
demo.
participating are there,
And a pseudo competition.
or like
I wouldn't even
specific
frame it
area.
necessarily as a competition. I would suggest just having a sort of an open demo where people can try out the systems.
but not just like interspersed somewhere, but a specific
Yes, yes,
area of the
absolutely,
demo,
absolutely.
which is
Groups,
the
And
lifelog
ideally
challenge.
with the experts there to explain the systems and
But what I believe, what I think actually it's really fun also for novices that join there, colleagues, audience. You see, why this is very interesting. I think I noticed first time that kind of effect in Iceland in 2017. Jan Soborov came from NIST, and I don't think he's seen this for a while. I think he was involved from early track wits, and Kiss Task was there, and yeah. So he was really, oh my god, I think we should make all benchmarks like this, like this is like Olympics, like but only for nerds, and it was like, no, you remember, like, really?
Remember,
Yeah, but novice.
Yes, but Trek
Sig MM.
does still not do that. And I mean, he's still running track, so
The
he
reason-
could have if he wanted to.
The reason we're still here is because SIG MM want to replicate VBS/LSE and ACM multimedia in some way. So they want that
Yes.
thing,
Totally.
right? So we still have to put on that thing.
Only
And that's the
fancier,
demo session
shinier.
thing, and that's enough. Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it
it's-
has to be zero stakes because
Yes. Okay. Fine.
because if you stake anything, if say, oh, this is a proper competition at the flagship conference and yada yada, and then you rely on random people
No, that's
you've
the
never
problem.
seen. The participant with
Right.
the system that
Yeah.
performed best in the expert system, in the expert thing, who's gonna lose the competition because they got a novice that did not understand the task, they're gonna be pissed.
Okay.
So
Keep
this
the
is
separate
So
prices.
let's
not
do.
do, let's not do prizes.
not do it a
let's
competition,
do evaluation in terms of, look, we have clear parameters that we control as much as possible, and then we can argue this is a scientific benchmark because these are the things we can measure. And the other thing is the visibility, community service, blah 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 event. That say, look, we do demo. Everybody who's interested can do the
Yeah,
demo.
fine, I'm happy
can
with
just-
that.
And you
every-
can have more novices do that because you
Yes.
can just
Yeah.
change after every
Yes,
task. Because
exactly.
otherwise you wouldn't change, because if one novice has learned how to use the system, you want to keep
Yes.
them. But
Right.
We make it
there doesn't
interesting by
matter.
having a prize for every round for the best novice. Simple, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
something simple.
this query.
Candy.
Hey,
Yeah, piece of candy.
congratulations, you get
Yeah.
an
Piece
Easter
of
egg.
candy.
Congratulations, you
Yeah.
get
Snickers.
Piece of
Yeah,
candy.
yeah.
That's it.
Ali's
Okay.
painting.
Genius.
No. Then I'm gonna have to pay
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Small whiskey,
Yes.
whiskey bottle.
Yes,
Something
exactly.
like this.
Or a bottle of whiskey every round.
No,
Whatever,
yeah,
doesn't
fine.
matter.
what's the budget of this? Whiskey every round?
No, our aim here, right, is to get people enthused.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Totally.
Right,
Totally,
yeah.
totally.
at the right part of the conference. It exists where everybody is going to be.
So you know
Right.
what you can do? I did it for my students.
Welcome
for something,
reception,
whatever.
doesn't matter,
You
something
buy
like
a
that.
bottle of wine and you buy chocolates, and then you ask them. Somebody doesn't drink. Somebody like, hey guys, the first one can choose. Like Moldovan wine, Georgian wine, or Italian. Plus there are chocolates. You choose what you want. So somebody
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah, right.
And then hopefully by the next year, we have more people in to take part.
So one thing you could do is if you start with a preparation session where people just practice.
Yeah.
Then this happens. You could even do the novice session at the welcome reception. After that, there's the competition.
Yeah, fine.
By that time, you will, that gives you pressure to debug things. You have some practice. You get to see some types of tasks. You have to create more tasks. That's the disadvantage, but otherwise you could recycle them.
Yeah.
But that might bring people, if they have seen this at the reception, to come.
Yes. And the following year, the data set remains the same for the second year, and maybe we provide some baseline retrieval system that people can use via an API to make it easier. By the way, I want to do this yourself. There's an API written by
there's systems out there, right?
Yeah.
There's at least half a dozen things that have been participating in VBS/LSC that you can get from GitHub if anyone would ever bother to look at them.
To make it easier, basically you would give them like a prepared data set for that system so that this is ready to use. And
It should be made as easy as possible. Okay, have we decided?
Not sure.
Yeah.
No, I personally
exact logistics.
would rather do expert session and then let
And then
everybody
demo.
try.
Yes.
So why don't we do the expert session in the
But it's also
workshop?
possible.
Right? Expert session takes place in a workshop, right?
Wait a second, you talk workshop, grand challenge and hackathon.
Yeah, we're doing. The way to get this. Look, we're in charge. The way to get this to work is we make it do it.
But the grand challenge can be a competition with the experts. And then
No, the grand challenge has got to be the asynchronous and the synchronous.
We were still talking
it's
about the
workshop, right?
synchronous.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
that's fine.
the grand challenge should also have the classical grand challenge aspect, as in you actually get to present your stuff with at least a poster.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a leaderboard and blah blah blah.
This
And
is
all
good,
of this is
So-
happening beforehand.
With the grand challenge, there is a workshop that takes place before the grand challenge where you actually come and use your practice.
Okay.
By workshop, you
Yeah.
mean an actual a co-located thing that happens in the workshop slot, or you mean a
It's
session
up to
in
us.
the but
in the workshop slot
it
probably makes more
changes the
sense.
logistics dramatically.
Yeah.
Because those are fundamentally, from a proceedings point of view, from a conference setup point of view, those are two different
It can be a
things.
workshop that doesn't have proceedings, right? It's just an event. I don't.
No, but I mean, you're really talking about an extended conference session, right?
Yes, but that's not.
So it's kind of two sessions to the.
But the grand challenge track will have multiple grand challenges,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is
This is
something
one
that
of
will
the
need.
grand challenges.
This is gonna this is one of the grand challenges,
That'll
but
get
then
treated
it will
differently
be
to everybody else.
that will presume. Well, that's the question, right? Is the grand challenge part different to everybody else, or is it just? Oh, by the way, there's this second half to the event that is not technically part of the grand challenge, but is another thing that happens interactively.
Yeah, let me turn the question around and say, let's say we get 3 grand challenges in. 2 are conventional. 1 is conversational search that requires an interactive element. We accept it, right?
Yeah.
We don't say no.
So some grand challenges,
So it's
if
the
you
same.
look at AC Multimedia grand challenges, there is this, well, I believe longest running one, I don't know how they call it, social media prediction or something like that. It started with is it JD.com, I don't know who sponsored it, there is even significant money involved there. And there are teams, does anybody know that one?
No.
It's pretty large at AC Multimedia, and it's been running for like maybe, I will say 5 to 10 years already, and they always have 2, 3, like they have a leaderboard somehow beforehand, so it's asynchronous, but also they have different ones. One is like social media prediction, that's like something like about popularity of the media, like mostly marketing type of task, and the other one is, I don't know, something, but they clearly have separate kind of scoring mechanisms and so on and so
Can you
on.
check how many grand challenges there were this year?
Something in the order of 10ish, I think.
Should be on the website.
10ish?
I mean, the typical grand challenge is asynchronous, right?
Yeah.
Where you do all the evaluation in advance. And
These
then you
fakes
just
it actually.
It's like Kaggle.
1,
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, that's a lot of grand
10ish
challenges.
plus minus, check them.
Yeah, I think if you try to make the interactive part during the grand challenge track of the conference, it has 2 disadvantages. I think in the sense that you don't treat the challenges in the same way how you allocate the time budget. That's one thing.
Yes.
And the other thing is, as you said, you want to present leaderboard or results. You don't know that or just know it 5 minutes before. So if you do that in a workshop session before, then you could have these things, and maybe you do. I don't know. That's proceedings wise. This is a logistics question because you might
Yeah,
want to
we
update the
don't
paper
really-
as
But
well.
then,
Yeah.
but then logistically, it would be 3 independent things, right? And you say, well, there is a classic entry into Grand Challenge
Yeah.
track that just presents Grand
Right.
Challenge things,
Yeah.
whatever. There might
This is
be
also
a non-archival workshop that
Right.
happens on the day before
Yeah.
the thing to actually do the interactive part
Yeah.
of the experiment. And there is a sub-session in the demo track
Yeah.
that has the things that
Yeah.
just opens this up to everybody. And then
Yeah.
it fits neatly
Yeah.
in all the categories the conference has anyway. I mean, yeah, with a bit of, but we can do that. But at least it doesn't introduce something fundamentally new. So if somebody wants to do this next year or the year after or whenever, it doesn't completely break
Yeah,
the
and if we
format.
want asynchronous, we need to have an associated workshop. That's part of the proposal.
Also for synchronous, we need a workshop then.
Sorry,
Well,
synchronous.
it's-
Synchronous is that a workshop?
Well,
Asynchronous is the grand challenge.
necessarily need to be a proper workshop
right.
with
Like it won't have
separate
publications,
calls and
but
yeah.
Yeah.
It's still part of the grand challenge. We just essentially need to have a room booked during the workshop part of the conference, so it doesn't interfere with.
I think it, like using the word workshop is probably, we need to find another word that
Yeah. I mean,
bring
it's-
confusion
it's
with
the,
other
It's
workshop.
the
with workshop.
interactive session. of
Interactive
the-
session.
But
of-
LSC
yeah.
is also a
challenge.
workshop.
LSC is a workshop.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
well,
LSC
Because ACM
is
wouldn't let us
already
put
a
it in
workshop.
as an
Yeah.
actual. We tried to get
Yeah.
LSC as a special session, permanent special session, and there was pushback from ACM.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So,
it-
but it's not a challenge. I mean, it's
No,
just a workshop.
Yeah, a workshop.
Yes.
But we would need publications.
Yes, but the
But
publications would
Is
go
it the
into
grand
the grand
challenge?
challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Ah,
why valuable.
Okay,
Yeah.
The
Ah,
workshop
that's true.
doesn't need publications; just needs a
That's
room.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing is if you want to update your paper after the interactive session, then the proceedings would need to come after the conference.
You're
right?
not.
Oh,
we can't do
that's
that.
But why should we do that?
There's-
No,
No, it's
no,
not.
with MM not possible.
Okay.
But
There's no need to do that.
but also for the branch, well, are
Only
all
for the
the
results, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, with
There could be an archive paper
Well,
later on.
I mean, if you know the location of the results beforehand, you could basically put it into any paper. Live results
Guys,
will be-
how about
Yeah,
this
but if you want the
one?
proceedings available at the start of the conference, that the workshop would technically
we-
happen after.
how
Yeah,
feasible
no, but I'm
is
saying,
it
yes, yes.
to
You-
actually replace those papers with upgraded versions? Talk very nicely to April.
Not needed. You know why not needed? We could do the same as you do for MMM, for example. And then after this is done, because kind of MM has this deal with Tom traditionally, we go for a Tom paper, kind of with everybody who participated as an, okay, you don't like whatever. That's already
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tom paper with everybody who participated as an author, like it's gonna be paper with lots of authors, or you don't like that?
No, I think it's great. The only
We
thing
could-
is that we are already overloaded with the other papers, right?
Okay.
We'll have the results of the asynchronous run for the paper writing.
Yeah.
So we have that. It's just the interactive element that's
Yeah.
problematic.
I mean, what we can say is that a requirement to participate in the interactive
Is
part
not necessary.
is to. Well, let me finish my sentence. The requirement to participate in the interactive part is to participate in the same subtasks for the non-interactive because then your stuff is going to be evaluated beforehand. And then also you can do by the way, we also do this live. And then it can still be, it's archived sometimes, somehow, whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
I have one question. Do we need to make it synchronous? Couldn't we just do it asynchronously like TrackQuid always does with the ABS task? ABS, yeah. Because it can be interactive also if it is asynchronous.
Well,
they
I
have
mean-
an interactive task, for example.
I mean, we have this system that is perfectly capable of running
Yeah.
interactive evaluations asynchronously. We just never used it,
Yes.
Yeah.
but it is there.
Yeah.
We could even do that.
It is more
There,
interesting. I
there are some. I mean, you're losing the whole visibility thing, but then
Yeah.
you can still move this to the demo session.
think. Yeah.
That would be an option. So then you can essentially run the whole thing beforehand.
Yeah.
You get your results back.
Yes.
You get your results back more or less immediately. You don't know how well you did in comparison to everybody else before everybody finishes, but you at
Track
least
style,
know
yes.
how well you did. I mean, Dres can do this.
Yeah, the results will be presented at the Grand Challenge.
Yes.
Yes.
Then we don't
Yes,
need to run
we
a
can-
grand concept in the demo session, which is a
Yes.
fun thing.
And then it's essentially everybody who submits an interactive thing gets a free slot in the demo session if they want it.
Yeah.
People will be encouraged to do that because we can say, okay, there's going to be a best sub demo thing, whatever, for like a novice, something judged in some means to be determined. Just to give people a bit of an extra encouragement to actually show up and show their thing.
Yeah.
And then it would also fit neatly into the timeline. We just need to have a raised instance that does this and tech support and whatever, because people cannot be bothered to do the OpenAPI correctly. But I mean, we have the technology in place to do this sort of thing. That would probably simplify this.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's just a demo session. Fine. In the
The
interactive.
demo session, but the competition.
Well,
in
the
advance.
challenge,
yeah,
the
yeah.
challenge session, of
Yeah.
course, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just have
The challenge session, the one that happens like 2 months early.
For example.
Yes.
No.
fine.
But
No, at the
Why?
conference.
At the conference,
Well,
there's
it's
still a
just,
challenge
it's just
session.
a regular grand challenge session
Yeah.
that presents the
Yes.
results and
Yeah.
you discuss.
Yes, but
the
not
top
an actual
scoring.
competition that's taking place in the grand challenge
Yes.
session.
Ah.
No,
And that's happened in
there's
September.
there's a probably before that
Yeah.
because people will need to submit the papers. So this is
Must be
some
before.
summary.
The time frame isn't great.
No, the time frame isn't great.
No, but what you
who
could-
needs sleep, right? It's
But
there's-
what you could do is like you ask for papers before describing the systems and just leave like a quarter page for results, and then people
For the camera ready. yeah.
update this for the
Uh-huh,
camera.
yeah.
Ready.
The standard one.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Because that's what Dragfit also does.
Yeah.
And
You,
it's
you
not
update your scores, but then you don't see everybody else's scores
Yeah,
until such time
yeah.
as you're at the event, which makes it more interesting to attend. Yeah.
Okay. You can provide like 10 sample of queries.
So
and you put the result
the
there,
one
and
thing
then-
that I
Yeah.
figured out from
Yeah.
that discussion is that I don't know if we can deliver that, but I really wanted things to be more interactive, engaging.
It still can be interactive. And engaging would be the demo session.
But when you say demo, so there is a demo session at the.
There-
Do you want a separate demo session or within the grand?
no
the
within
demo
the within the regular demo session.
But
Logistics
then
to be
we have
determined.
to really then synchronize with the demo chairs because you know
Mm.
lots
That's
of
okay.
demos were rejected actually this year. They rejected like 3/4 of the
Yeah,
demos.
but we can
Yes,
reserve
but
that
demos,
slot.
but demos this year
You
was
understand what I mean? You have to say,
somehow.
oh, pending that you are accepted as demo.
No,
We'll be able to
No,
look after all
no.
that.
They don't need to be accepted as
No.
demo.
No,
This is-
they
we'll
get
just
they get a
insert them into the
they
demo
get a
session.
free slot in the demo
Yeah.
program, and the demo
Yeah.
chairs will have to deal with it.
Okay.
Because worst case, we're just gonna give them. So I mean, the way this is currently kind of penciled in the program is that one room would be permanently set aside for demos and the interactive art during the whole thing. Worst case, we just say, well, no, one of these days the demo chairs don't actually get to decide anything. All the demo slots are already taken up by this, and the rest of the slots are for the demo chairs to decide. But we can figure this out.
I
For
mean,
the
it
demo
might be
chairs
good to
to
do
do
that
it.
anyway. To
If we
have-
can decide that, then
Meeting and somebody else, isn't it?
Demo chair.
You?
Mm,
You're
No,
no,
interactive
no,
art
no,
chair.
interactive. Yeah.
But it might be anyway good to have it like a fixed time slot for that, because
Yes. Yes.
also people have to be there
I mean,
during,
pro-
and you get more dynamics if more people are there at the
Yes.
same time.
And I mean, probably we will have a concurrent, a continuous slot for all the demos that
Yeah.
just goes through the whole program, and then just the demos rotate through. depending on how many demo submissions and whatever, right? To be determined. That room also works because there we
Is
have
that the open space?
yes,
Yeah.
that would be the half of the big plenary.
There'll be lots of people hanging around because it's beside the bar.
Yes, and it's the where we would anyway stream the overflow from the room next door.
It's a very busy
Thing,
place.
yeah. So this would work, and this would also have the best visibility, which is why
Yes.
I would also want to put the demos there. In contrast to this year, where they were behind 3 rows of poster walls.
Okay.
So just one more question, just so we know that we covered everything. And the reason for not going with standard VBS/LSC format will be because we want asynchronous parts as well. That's the main reason.
The main reason I think is that it's simpler in every aspect.
Okay. Don't know.
Yeah.
And it fits very well to the format that they have in the Grand Challenge. And
Yeah, I think it fits the format of the Grand Challenge. We would not force people to have an interactive system. They could choose what
Yeah.
they have.
yeah.
You want to open a bit to more CV sort of crowd and
Possibly, yeah.
And there's not so much on-site stress
Yeah.
Yes.
because this
Yeah.
is always a
Because there might be 1 or 2 other things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
this is definitely different at ACM Multimedia than it is at MMM or ACMR, which is like
Who are our
Okay,
grand
so,
challenge chairs?
magnitude smaller.
Who?
Who are our grand challenge chairs?
I don't remember.
We better make sure we
Intercept
intercept them to say so they don't reject our grand
It's-
challenge and they said it's too
Yeah.
I
big.
think it's been triggered in so.
Okay, fine.
Ah.
Okay, right. Okay. we're
Ah.
I think.
That's it.
I'm not so sure.
We'll
Well,
do.
Mintred.
Fine.
So some corruption, high level corruption caught on camera. Very good, very good, very good.
No, it's not that.
No, it's called bribery. Sorry.
No, these people already understand how these challenges run, so they will actually be able to.
No.
No, because Min Triet takes part in LSC and VBS. He understands. Min Sundar understands. Who's it?
I don't know. I think only 2.
Werner is checking, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to check.
Graham is
I
workshops.
just finding the webpage is not particularly mobile friendly.
No, it's
because
not. It's not on the page yet.
The,
It's
the
not.
header.
These things are
covers
not on the
half of the
webpage
screen.
yet. We have a magic internal document that has all the names.
Okay, next
Those
week.
are not published.
Oh, that does
yet.
not help.
We need a web chair. We need a web chair.
Makes it worse. You can't.
We don't need the web chair. We just need a backend to actually publish
Ah.
stuff to this.
So depending on where we wanna eat, maybe.
I'm happy that we've done enough. We can summarize this again tomorrow morning. Make sure everybody's on the same page.
No.
Figure out the hackathon dead too.
There were more things on the agenda, but sure, whatever.
Hackathon.
Hey, tell us.
What was on the agenda for today technically was figure out also all the data augmentation things which would feed into the hackathon, plus all the collections for. Now we know the set of sensors we have. Now, what would we want to do
Next
for any future iterations, and how would people possibly think of could this be done? This is not necessarily something that needs to be discussed now, even though it was in the agenda, but then technically it was in the agenda for this morning. So,
So what does Castle 2 look like?
Yes.
So too.
Let's assume that Castle 1 has not been a disaster. It's been very successful. Except chicken. Well, with the exception of the second fridge, Castle was pretty successful.
So far, the second fridge was the biggest fail.
You know, it would be the best
Well,
thing if we
I
kept it
realized the
outside,
brand is
outdoor.
called Hot Point. So
Outdoor
why do we expect
No,
it to
no,
get
no,
cold?
I feel they did not understand the assignment.
It's colder than
I think
anything.
for Castle 2 it would be great to have less of a focus on food
Yeah.
and preparation of food and logistics of food.
But that's what
That's what literally
brings
makes
us all together.
And that's
I
what
feel like, I mean, it can certainly be an aspect. I feel like it's been exaggerated this time
a little
around.
bit too much.
It's
yeah.
perfect for the hackathon though.
Maybe just one dinner per day, cooking
do
once per
takeouts,
day,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
do takeouts for the
I
rest.
mean, ideally there would just be more people, and then
Yeah,
you
more
would
people
have
cooking.
fewer people in per. You would have a smaller fraction of people involved.
More
in,
people.
But then the cooking organization is gonna be messier with the shopping
No,
list and
because
stuff.
then you would have
With the except-
people
yeah.
who are explicitly in charge of things, which we did not have. It's, oh yeah, everybody does something, and then but the people who do the shopping and the people who actually do the cooking are not the same people, and information gets lost along the way, and nobody knows what's going
Well, I
on.
think we did a good job, right? We had almost everything we
Loves the
needed.
picnic.
We got almost everything right.
So what are you saying that we should do?
I would argue the whole thing was well done, but there is a comma in there.
I would say very well. even.
I would say just cook
the
for once a
people didn't
day.
get the joke. It's fine.
I got it. It's okay.
So,
Well done.
just as an example, how do we do it on a boat? Very light breakfast, in a sense, spreads.
We could do
cheese,
lighter
blah, blah, blah.
breakfast and Irish breakfast.
Then
yes.
lunch is
Yeah.
really cooking. Evenings we always do in a restaurant. So
If we had gone to a
You
restaurant,
are aware that this is not a boat. This has different
the
boundary
challenge
conditions.
is if we'd gone to a restaurant every night, you would have added an extra 3,000 or 4,000 euros to the cost.
yeah, no, no.
We couldn't do it on
It could be
10,000.
Take
On
out
our own.
On our
cheaper.
own budget, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other logistics here is there is no restaurant nearby that's open.
Well, that's why we chose this castle, because it was so far from everything. There's nowhere to go, right?
There is another. I mean, another option is basically if it's possible to add a couple of people who do some of the cooking.
Just to the
explicitly.
More helpers.
Just do the cooking. So that would be one option. Yes. But,
Hey, but
yeah, but-
guys, also that process you'll see later on is also valuable as a data. So people
Absolutely,
do
of
something
course,
together.
absolutely.
One
So you
does
do-
this,
you-
another one
you-
does
you
that,
do
another
not-
one does that.
you do not
there are
want-
other things you open.
The
you lift
disagreements as part of it is all part of the data set.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but the thing is that just the whole everybody does everything somehow and nobody's responsible for anything and nobody's in charge and nobody knows what's going on because
Okay,
everybody
I
does
admit,
everything.
If we had Alice here, we'd all be on time, right? Alice couldn't make it, right? We need an Alice
Possibly. We
with
just
a clipboard going around.
we just
Klaus,
need
get over there. That's what we're
Yeah. So basically, you're saying So that's actually a point. You need a manager, essentially, who's not
yes,
Yeah.
taking care of
Of that.
of the logistics, of the
Yes, yes.
details, of all the goings on.
You need a Jennifer to organise in advance. You need an Alice to organise when we're here,
Yeah.
or equivalent.
Well, or something that floats over, right? Okay. But so that's maybe slightly less, emphasis on cooking and then some better organization. So that's a couple of points.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And what about technical aspects?
But
2
actually,
years from now, maybe the hardware could be.
This wasn't too
Bit
bad,
fast.
right?
yeah.
It's not
Actually,
too bad.
I
I'm
thought
quite
it would be
comfortable.
worse.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's worked really well.
middle of the day, my head was hurting quite a bit, but it's getting better.
But that was something else. That was the second Guinness.
Yeah, well, I think the
No,
it's
but
a bit of a pressure cooker.
It's decent. It's not great, right? So
Yeah.
there.
No. And no complaints.
But
because
if
it's-
we were stuck with what we already
exactly.
happen to have
Yeah, no.
in a closet in DCU,
Yeah.
right? We didn't have the
I think
budget.
it's a-
If ACM give us 20,000 next
Yes.
time or 30,000,
Yes.
sure, we'll do something much nicer.
Yeah.
We made it work.
Yes, maybe just
40,000, 50,000.
just one comment to what Björn said about the cooking. I think it's a good idea to have dedicated people cooking, but after
Not all the
thinking
time.
about it, I think it's very nice that we had here so many different dishes done by different people, and we could look up them later on. And also, it's a lot about life, right?
Yes,
Individual
no,
life vlogging.
absolutely. So
Improvisations,
ADLs.
constant
I
improvisation.
would
yeah.
clearly vote against like the catering aspect of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think so.
but it needs, in general, I mean, we had very little in terms of an agenda, which in some aspects is good, gives people the freedom to do this. There needs to be more agenda, like in general, right? And people behind the scenes are making sure that the agenda can actually happen, because now everybody who runs around doing things is also
Right.
so there's no behind the scenes
Right.
support
You need a
for
production crew.
yes essentially right
Yeah.
for a lot of things, also for various setupy things, that just takes time and resources that we did not really have this time around. So essentially, if there were the option to do this with a larger crowd of people, in a larger location, it would probably make sense to.
But are you thinking, go back to the schedule we had from 3 months ago we didn't implement? That was, everything was half an hour blocks. And for this half an hour you're playing...
Maybe half an hour is too much. That's too much. Something in between.
It doesn't need to be half an hour blocks, but essentially really clear and strict assignments, as in, look, we have a workshop part, this is this time window, we have lunch always happens at this time, which necessitates this time block before, and it's those people, those really know what they're gonna have, right? Everything, there's like checklists and stuff. This time is dinner, this necessitates this.
We're not that far off it.
But it did not really, it wasn't really implemented like this, because it's, oh yeah, but let's do this in hour 8. Oh no, let's swap these two
But I
things.
still
Oh no,
think
let's do this.
that is actually okay, because we are still having
And
our
life is also
workshop.
chaotic sometimes, right?
Yeah, but that's but this is not supposed to be.
If
like,
we
this
had
is supposed well,
If we had had an Alice equivalent here with a checkbox saying, okay, you have to do cook now, it's time to cook, that would have been okay.
It's also means if you had somebody who could basically run off to the store or drive off to the store.
Yes, some fixers essentially.
Daily, basically.
Yeah.
So what do we need for tomorrow?
Yeah. Like if one of us had been one of us three had been a helper, not a participant, this was fine.
It's not.
Or you can learn how to drive.
But it's really, there is somebody who's not part of the experiment who is running the show.
So need a manager.
That's kind of the main.
Need a
Manager.
I think this
We
is.
don't need managers. We need normal people. Alice.
We need somebody normal to manage.
Essentially, it needs a production crew. It needs a director behind the scenes who's
Yes,
actually on top of everything that's happening.
and that basically has authority over the
Yes.
I think that's kind of the when you're taking part in experiments and having authority, it's a problem.
And also, if there's no clear schedule, it is also difficult to coordinate things, because then it's I need to take care of my email. I might as well do this now because nothing's going on.
Right.
And then people disappear at random points in time because there's no coordination between them. And also if you say, oh well, now we could do this, and then but 3 people are missing. Okay, now then we can't, and then it just spirals, right?
We have to, if that's the case, we have to release a schedule well in advance. So
Yes.
I don't. Vern had to go off for a meeting this morning about 10 o'clock.
Right.
That we have to know that can only happen at 11. Right?
But a person who has control of things, basically there's going to be fairly minor things that come up. You have this extra meeting that wasn't really scheduled. You have one more meeting, and there's and somebody can basically adjust this, and then the day before
release a printout.
Here's a new.
We need a
schedule for
printer.
tomorrow.
We need a printer. I know. I thought about buying a printer.
Or need the information screen. That's alternatively.
Okay.
That's
An iPad to display the
but
schedule.
I think the key is to separate, out whoever is running the show, the producer, right, from the participant.
Yes.
And we did most of the things we were supposed to do, no?
I think we did really well.
So we should make very clear that the helpers have been excellent.
Yes.
So this is not a
No, but I'm just like saying I expected a major disaster in all aspects, apart from an occasional camera failure that happened to some people we don't want to name. There were no major disasters.
We were inevitably not going to get this fully right the first time.
No.
I think nobody has run away.
No, literally, there was positive atmosphere all the time.
There was,
People
it was
didn't,
good fun, right?
You know, these social experiments you've probably seen on YouTube going wrong.
And part of the challenge was figuring out how to do this better next time.
But I think this is a really good lesson. I agree with Luca on this part. I think that would make it more productive.
More people, bigger castle, and a manager.
So,
But you know what? This can be
I'm
also...
not sure about the more people as part of the experiment.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe
More
12 rather
helpers.
than 10.
Yeah.
Because you get more options with groups of 3 and 4.
Yes,
If you
I
have
mean
10,
also
12
in
people.
But if it gets much larger, it
Yeah,
also has
exactly.
more challenges.
The only reason why, can I add one point in, why we didn't have more helpers was because there's a training week on for some of our PhD students from the group who couldn't come.
Sure.
And Robin couldn't come because she moved house last week. And Leating isn't back.
Right.
And it was
And thesis.
Thesis.
Yeah.
2 people handing up their thesis this week.
Yes.
This was why we missed.
Yeah.
Understood.
We actually
Understood.
wanted 4 helpers.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
And we bought a
Yeah.
we rented a house.
Yes.
So
But,
that
but in any case, the role that you're describing would have been missing.
always yes.
Yes. So, and I agree that this is kind of a key
We need
Yes,
aspect of
yes,
this.
and I mean this is
Completely
a coordinator,
yes,
coordinate.
on-site coordinator.
Yes.
There's somebody who basically has authority over the experiment, right?
Yes.
I think
yeah.
it's like having a.
Who sets the agenda? Who
like-
says
yeah,
no? Now
yes.
you do
It's
the
a very similar problem in the sports when you have a player coach, somebody who's playing on the field, they cannot manage. They need somebody on the sideline to run the show. It's impossible to manage on the field.
Coach.
Yes.
So-
But even if you're a coach, you can run the sessions before, but you need somebody live.
I know.
yes. But I mean essentially, yeah. I guess this whole thing was much more ad hoc than it ideally would have been, which is fine. It was built with much less budget than it
Should have.
has any right to work with.
Yeah.
For which yeah. So far so good, right? So all of this, yes, absolutely. But I mean, it's very much also more people, also more activities.
More activities.
More activities in the sense of, yeah, we kind of try to make it work by, what can we get? Oh, we can get a
Right.
few things to put stuff together. Oh, and we can get painting supplies, right? It was literally like that. It's not a
Yeah.
It's more planning as well. More
top-down, thought out. It's really more of can we throw more activities at the thing to make it more interesting, to make it
We
more
should have a
diverse?
laptop of copyright-free movies.
Right.
We thought about it, we got some, but we never set it up.
Right.
So there's lots of things
Same
to
thing
fix.
with music.
Music.
Maybe longer activities as well, because most of these activities can be done like in 5 minutes. and-
Also, I mean, the weather was mostly not cooperating, so there wasn't a lot of chance to do outdoorsy
Right.
things.
Yeah.
This is just well.
But a house next time with a bigger garden where we can actually do things outside.
a treadmill to exercise so that people can be sane.
Sanity is overrated.
The reason why we're here is because this was the
Get
only
a
house we could
treadmill,
afford.
Yeah.
We'll fix that part.
I could have got you a castle, you'd have all had to pay for your own flights and everything else, right? So it's different, right?
Yeah.
We will have spent over 10,000
Yeah,
euros on this.
despite all the things that you mentioned, I think
Yeah,
it went
yeah.
incredibly well
Yes.
so far.
So far so
many
good,
things
right?
to
I mean,
learn,
it's
but
it's not nothing is on fire.
Like nothing nobody in our community has tried to do this before.
There might
The
have
only
been a
time I've ever
reason.
seen this is ubiquitous computing 10 years ago when they put some cameras up in a house and people went in and did some ADLs, right, for a weekend. This is far in excess of what that was.
Speaking of food, I think I have to go to.
Yeah.
Chop, chop,
Check the potatoes earlier. They were still rock solid. So
So
what
increase
will
your
we-
step count.
What do we say?
But this is one aspect. The other aspect was we have the sensors we could get on short notice, mostly because you happen to have them lying around. This again, it worked. So far so good. We ran into some minor technical issues for various weird reasons. But this is certainly not the best setup to do this sort of thing, right? So I guess and this is not necessarily something we absolutely need to correct now, but maybe something to think about. Assuming infinite time and infinite budget, what would be the thing we actually wanted to do?
Right.
Because then we can go down from what
Right.
of this is actually feasible to do.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a question. What if the price of admission, let's say, had been to buy some kind of equipment? So everything is paid for except you need to bring your own set of goggles or whatever. Right? Would people run into trouble with this?
Could be there.
Okay.
You have to check how you like them.
Yeah, I don't know that.
It's
Semi-
probably,
Also, there's a different
Well, it's
attitude if
probably
you
fine.
bought your own equipment and
No,
coming
it's
in,
probably
right?
fine. Right?
Like, I don't want to do that type
Shall I
of
turn
attitude.
it off?
Yes.
Almost we have to keep it as a closed. Somehow it's a community of people.
Right.
They need to
Inherently,
pull down
everybody trusts everybody in this room.
Yeah.
And that's even
Right.
fundamentally what we need to have to get this to work.
Right.
But if it was a €500 entrance fee and you get to keep your hardware afterwards, I wouldn't have any problem doing that.
no.
Yeah, probably.
And I think probably it's easier than like paying for like the travel, because it's easier to squeeze in some hardware budget somewhere than
You can convince that it's needed for some other project.
than having
Yes, yes.
like official requests
Yes,
for
yes,
travel and
yeah,
things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So
No, it's just
If there
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a thing
we-
out there you can buy.
yeah.
If
No,
it's
I-
we
yeah.
need to MacGyver it ourselves,
This is
then
still
it might
as
be
good
much
an
more.
option as
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
ever going to
yeah.
get at the moment.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no,
Nothing else
it's just
better
something
than
to
this.
keep in mind,
Yeah.
so that if there is something that we desire,
Like, look at the challenges we had with this.
Yeah.
Battery life. We went through numerous different options for batteries. I have 36 GoPro batteries in DCU. Right? We bought double of everything, right?
Right.
More. We even tried
The boy.
double A battery packs
Wired
wired through a voltage regulator
maybe.
directly into it.
To cool them
That
down a
didn't
bit,
work,
yes.
right? We had to go with this approach. Down there, we're overheating. We even tried fans inside. There was a huge amount of effort to get to what actually you're
Yeah.
wearing right now, which
Right,
actually
right.
works. So even if we did this again in 18 months' time, there's probably nothing better than this still that we can actually do.
now there's only started to look already a very small thing which would be like a belt clip for the power pack, which is probably
Told you.
more convenient.
They were cheap.
Yeah,
They were €5
but
each.
A belt clip is probably not so expensive either.
You're also not using, right? I just
But
put it in
look,
the pocket.
that's we'll collate after we get
I
back.
need space in my pocket. because
But I mean, this is still assuming, right? This needs to be done on short-ish notice with off-the-shelf hardware.
yeah.
So, assuming this was not a requirement.
I mean, throwing in another thought. I mean, it's of course putting another angle to the data set. It could also be interesting to just give everyone a different type of device. So you would have like a heterogeneous data set. It causes other problems, but it could also provide other.
I'm already getting dizzy.
But it could also be interesting to like see what you can get out of different
For
types of
instance,
devices.
you have to shave your head before coming.
If Graham was able to make it, he would
BCI
have
is
had a
actually on
BCI
the list.
cap.
Yes, BCI is definitely on the list.
We could do portable
Um,
BCIs. Yeah, no problem.
Well, no problem is well. There's a whole cascade of problems, but we could probably make it work.
We could put a BCI cap on everybody in the morning time. Now,
Not with my time budget. We
pretty
had to prepare
smelly.
this, but it's
We'd need
Yeah.
Graham Healy's equivalents, right? To set
no.
them
We
up.
just need Graham to actually. he was.
Not equivalent.
He was
Graham
not.
was
He
on
was,
holiday
he
this
was
week.
not available this week. Otherwise, he would have been here.
Cause some trouble.
Possibly, yes.
Sneaking out for pints. I would love
Is
eye
this
tracking.
slander already, or?
It's Graham. It's Graham. Eye tracking on the glasses would be very nice.
Eye tracking would be very nice. Yes. That would be awesome.
What is actually the eye tracking experiment? I still don't understand.
Just a reading
Just
experiment.
gathering data for a reading task.
But what
There's a demo at AC
what
Multimedia
is the
later.
research question?
For the eye tracking?
There's
what's
not
the
really a big
question?
research question here. We had to use it because we brought the hardware to here.
Ah, okay.
You know what's also cool? I heard from our forensics friends what I kind of like these days is from data to activities. So basically, which kind of activities could you reconstruct from the sensors, like mobile, if you have it in a back pocket, in a backpack, in a front pocket, can you reconstruct the
Yeah, but
activity based on
I
it?
mean, that's basically what you can do with the Fitbit, right?
Yeah, but most people in criminal cases don't wear Fitbits, you know, like
Yeah.
most people have a mobile somewhere,
Yeah.
like in a backpack, in a,
Yeah.
which kind of activity can I
We
recognize?
could have provided everybody with a cheap Android phone
Yeah.
and running sensors
Yeah.
next time. That's another thing for our helpers to keep charge, but yeah, you can do that.
Well, you will get an IMU string.
Mhm.
Basically, we could because now one of the few sources of funding that's going to remain is going to be the security fundings. So that's another thing to think about if you kind of make ourselves relevant to them.
Right.
So what do we
Being
say
relevant
to
this, yeah.
somebody who says, "I'd like to run this experiment myself"?
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Does anybody think we shouldn't have done it?
No, I think it's great.
Hmm.
I would do it again.
I will do it again. Absolutely.
We still have one more day.
I'm assuming that we will end up doing this again at some point, 18 months or 24 months down the line. Somewhere. It doesn't have to be here. It can be anywhere. Klagenfurt.
I'd prefer 18 over 24 because that would land it in summertime.
It doubles
Or
the price.
30.
It doubles the price of
Or
the.
30.
Like this
Or 30, right? Yeah, also fine.
is 3,000 euros for a week. It's 5,000 or 6,000 in the summertime.
Right.
But it gives you the outdoors.
It does give me the interest. Look,
Which are
next time
much
we go back to
larger.
ACM, we're asking for 25,000. If
Ask,
they're happy,
ask
we-
for more. They're gonna scope it down.
Yeah, we asked for 35.
Yeah.
We got 10 or something.
Well, yeah.
like-
But I mean,
We-
there is a chance, I would say, that this is, if this is successful, then it's
We certainly have the right to go
possible
back and
get
ask
a
for more.
higher
Yeah.
grant next time.
Yes.
I would
Like I
say.
think we've done a lot with 10,000. So more.
Because then you can be fairly concrete about what those extra
Mm.
funding would buy you compared to what you would have now. I think that's, for example, better weather. That's gotta be worth a few $1,000s.
Quite expensive to purchase.
Yeah, I know.
But
But
then we-
I mean, you know, but
make
that
it a
buys you
joint-
other activities, right?
You make it a joint geoengineering project.
Yeah. No, I mean you can at least buy the odds of better weather, right?
That for sure.
Yes. So timing, location combined to that.
That.
What about some device that
Less
people can manually
Yeah, I said-
lock
I said if you
something?
want something
Like for their mood or something like that, or even some annotation for ground
Manual
truth,
route or something.
or just some ground truth for
That's why I said if you
anything.
want to set them
That-
like here, very secluded,
Right
we
now,
could
like-
go to some hub
With a
in the
director, we
Alps.
can do
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
What
But
you could
but
also have
skiing
is a thing that
would
you
work.
can
Activity
have
with-
everybody
with
gets a phone.
empty slopes.
Yeah, a new one, yeah.
Street device. There's an application running on this
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
lets you log things
Mostly.
that maybe even prompt you
So
from
there's one
from
slope
time
where
to
you
time.
actually
Yeah.
put the helmet to enter.
And gives you a web browser for looking things
Well,
up. That's
the
not
thing-
time.
Yeah, as well. So that people can do more things as well.
But at the start, some people kind of wondering, aha, what is it you
Did nothing.
were kind of. I think we're gonna hear at the conference a lot about. Hey guys, you could have done this. Hey,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. People we have a lot of
You could have done
opinions.
it. Why did you do it that way?
Totally.
Okay.
Right.
Very good.
Anything on the
Did
agenda
we,
that you still
answer your
want?
question, Luca?
Yeah.
More or less.
More or less.
So what's
Now he has to
we
make
still have
a-
one more workshop tomorrow
Yeah.
to revise everything.
What time do we do it?
And talk about the
Frosty.
talk about
Is there a
the
task for somebody to summarize the discussion now?
We need to
For
write a
tomorrow?
SIGMM records paper.
We do need to write something more. I can summarize it now for tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
So just take.
I'll be a very quick summary tomorrow morning. Yes.
So what?
But
Ali's question I think was important in the spirit of what Lucas said. What time tomorrow?
what time for breakfast and then
Breakfast at 9.
Okay. that's it.
Workshop at 10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Lunch.
Yes.
Smoke-
But for real.
Like,
Oh, no, no,
smoked
no, no,
salmon.
Lunch.
No,
Lunch.
no,
I will-
lasagna.
Make lunch.
Breakfast at 8.
No.
Oh.
Okay, light breakfast at 9 that doesn't require any cooking because we don't have anything left to cook.
Yeah.
Plenty of cheese.
We have a lot of
Cheese.
stuff.
We have
Cheese
butter.
board.
now.
No.
We have
cornflakes,
cornflakes. We even have
toast.
oats for those
We
who
also
want to
have
make
like
themselves.
Christmas pudding or whatever this is, and
Right.
Christmas cakey things. And
How about everyone has their own breakfast in any place and be
Yeah,
here
everybody
at
make
9 for
their own
workshop?
breakfast
So
At
the-
9 for
the-
workshop.
The lasagna, basically the second hour of preparation is inside the oven.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so why don't we do
that's
the workshop
workshop
at
time.
that point?
I will. Yeah. Exactly.
I
So.
guess originally the idea was to prepare the lasagna today, and then
Yeah.
tomorrow you
No,
could
but
just
I
put it
switched
into the
this
oven.
idea.
But
Yeah.
this is.
But we can basically, I mean, can it be in parallel to breakfast?
So I think we're doing the workshop
Maybe
at noon tomorrow?
Immediately after breakfast.
I would also like to have
1 to
breakfast at
1 to 2.
2. Yes, yes, yes.
No, it's just too late to eat at 2 because
We
we'll
just
just
throw
smoke
a bunch
salmon
of
at
people at
3:30.
it. We finish it in.
Okay, so noon to 1.
With,
I can help tomorrow.
Could we have
Okay, yeah,
lasagna
thank
for
you.
breakfast?
No.
Like no breakfast and a brunch, which is lasagna.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to get food at
Oh my god.
9 o'clock, there's plenty of food in there.
that is an alternative. Just
There's the pressure on me at the
So
morning
we have
already.
brunch at 11,
You have to go
right, followed by the workshop.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense when we go early already to the salmon.
Okay.
yeah.
Lunch.
Can we
Salmon's
start
at
preparing
3:30.
the lasagna maybe already?
Lunch at 11 sounds
Yeah, fine,
reasonable.
fine, fine.
And we can snack while you do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can have some cornflakes
Eat
or
cooked pasta and
preheated sushi or whatever we decide we want to do, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a breakfast followed by a salmon followed by steaks. And then we're back not too late tomorrow night because someone like Klaus has to leave at 5 a.m.
So,
Well, we'll see tomorrow what the weather forecast says. If it says
Oh,
road-
the weather
roads-
forecast is what I read earlier on.
Yeah, I mean,
110 kilometre per
Yeah.
hour winds.
yeah.
Sea breaching the.
can you
coast,
change your
flooding,
flight? Or
Oh, really?
disaster,
No.
Storm Daniel, whatever it's called.
That's Friday or
Saturday.
And Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. You have an idea if there's
Cliffs
a
of
risk?
Moher, not so much.
Closed, orange level weather warnings.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
think
How
that-
will it is?
That flights will be delayed or cancelled?
No, that's in the west, not the east.
How?
Okay.
How will it is?
Okay.
Hovel.
Yes.
We can all go to the hovel, no problem. There's no toilet there, but that's okay. It's a hovel.
There's
after all.
lots of trees.
Lots of trees.
Yes.
Excellent.
But
And we
they're
have toilet
outside.
paper here in the
Excuse me.
storm. Huh?
Yeah.
So
But
you-
any traces of whatever you do will disappear very quickly.
Look where someone else is compared to the
Yeah.
direction.
So don't stay downwind, for sure.
So you're probably not doing the cliff.
will it is?
Hey!
How will it
You're, are you still doing the cliff? Like,
No,
Let's see-
it's
let's
gonna
see.
be impossible,
Let's see
basically.
on
Yeah.
Saturday morning what it's
Yeah,
really like.
it's like
They do tend to overestimate the danger.
the way.
I mean, orange in Dublin is nothing, but I don't know about here. Orange in Dublin is nothing, but I don't know about here.
I think it hits
No,
here. first.
here orange is a proper weather. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Look, let's make a decision on Saturday morning.
City
We have breakfast.
city weather is always much milder than.
But
Yeah.
Klaus will have to
cold
be
weather.
a bit more cautious in driving for the first hour.
No,
Once
I
you
think
get to Galway,
Werner
you're
is.
fine
Yeah,
on the
no,
motorway.
Yeah, on the main
problem.
roads, yes.
I thought you would just be driving.
To decide
If there's ever
Oh, you gotta drive.
on the M50 around
I think I can.
he's not getting to the
Yeah,
airport.
we can decide.
You might also pre-download the local
GPS,
map,
the GPS.
There will be points on the
Google Maps.
M50 where you can get
Like
off the
to
motorway
Galway.
and get to the
Back
airport.
with me.
Yeah, but if you pre-download the local map, then you basically, even if you run, if you're
there's
not
a
well
problem.
connected
Uh-huh.
in this area,
Uh-huh.
you can still
Yeah.
Yeah.
coordinate. So at least until you hit the highway.
Yeah.
And even on the highway, if you hit
But
the
until the
M50
highway
and
is
there's an
very simple.
accident,
It's one road you
it
follow.
can just stop.
Yeah.
And it can
Until
be
you
stopped
have
for an hour. It's
something
just a
wrong,
single
right?
ring road.
Yeah, but until
you're
Galway,
right.
it's
Yeah.
pretty
You've
simple.
got somebody keeping an eye on the.
So that would be a problem for us, yeah.
But
You would miss your flight
Yeah.
if
if the
There
M50 is
is
stopped.
a congestion.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of trees on the M55.
Lots of trees.
Yeah.
Mm.
But look, in reality,
No, but
But I
we
think
don't.
Galway so far inland, it's not going
But
to
we
be so
don't
bad
need
there.
No,
much of
Galway's fine.
M50,
Yeah,
right?
just that
If we
this-
drop you
This
again,
area.
we didn't use much of M50 because if we drop
True.
Allie again, then
Yeah.
And then
you use
they
about
see
half the
you.
M50. Oh, to Finglas, yeah. Then you can go the back road to the airport.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
yeah.
And you will be also
In
with us,
DCU,
yeah, yeah.
he's in DCU.
Talking about
So,
trees here.
It's
a short
so
stretch
no.
on M50
On our
until
way.
So, like,
Finglas and
if-
then-
Yeah, there's
so
only two
Dublin
exits to
City
go, right?
is like this, right?
And from Finglas you can go to the airport.
And
Yeah.
Finglas is there, M50 is there, right?
Yeah.
That's my place.
I think
DCU
we will
is
go to
here,
Havel with
and the
you.
airport is there.
Okay,
it's
so
like-
this is not a
Yeah.
big
It'll be quite
Yeah.
disappointing.
extra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
The
no,
mission
no.
isn't finished, the bathroom isn't finished,
No,
the
no,
water
no.
is none.
Yeah. We can do a little bit of work if you want. Some tiling,
Damn it, I should have ordered a skip in advance.
you get the toilet installed.
The toilet is there, you just haven't turned on the water.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
where to turn it on.
Guillermo,
If you
you-
can find the water, we
to
can use
turn
the
it
toilet.
on?
Yeah.
Well, we can bring water.
You have
That
to-
actually works. Right?
Okay.
I mean, you
Well,
can, you
I've
can
never-
flush with the water. Yes.
I suppose the workshop is done.
That's what you do with them.
Workshop's done.
Have you watched a movie?
Let's watch a movie.
So on your laptop?
Is there something?
I would like to watch Elephant Stream.
Elephant Stream.
On your laptop, can
It's
you
open
connect it
source.
to the can you connect it to the TV so everyone can watch
I've
it?
seen it so many times.
I don't.
I have.
I did not.
Not so end to end, but I
Aye.
Yeah, there is also the.
Which one is this one here?
Up.
Hey, Curly,
Hey, boss.
you want a Baileys?
Yes.
Grab a glass. I know that it's fresh.
I'm gonna grab the bathroom first.
Is there still Bailey? Yeah.
Hey, boss.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The big one is also very